Welcome to my digital home. Everything made out of numbers and code.
eXistenZ is a gross and utterly brilliant, if chaotically written, film that updates director David Cronenberg's trademark body horror into the cyberspace age. When an attempt is made on her life, renowned virtual reality game designer Allegra Geller, Jennifer Jason Leigh, goes on the run with bodyguard Ted Pikel, Jude Law. The two of them enter Allegra's groundbreaking new game eXistenZ and are caught in an intricate web of morbid industry and double-crossing. I love the cyberpunk subgenre and have loved the notion of virtual reality, as in a simulation truly indistinguishable from reality, ever since I saw The Matrix. The Matrix has some Geiger-esque, even animalistic imagery in its machine antagonists, and frames virtual reality as a medium of entrapment and slavery, but also great empowerment in the superhuman abilities it grants. Avalon, which is one of my favorite films of all time, is like a sister film of eXistenZ, as they both focus on addictive virtual reality games, and uses repetition, stillness, and subtle visual clues to cast doubt on protagonist Ash's supposed reality, and uses dark sepia coloring and a melancholic tone to highlight the game Avalon as an escape for her. But eXistenZ's uncomfortably fleshy aesthetic, with the VR interfaces being squishy pods grown from amphibian cells, and guns being bony contraptions that fire teeth, provides a novel and rational take on virtual reality. It makes sense that a living organism would be designed and cultivated for VR, as organic nervous tissue would naturally be more capable of feeding our brains realistic experiences than an inorganic computer. Computer systems made of neurons is an idea you don't find much of in fiction, but despite the icky imagery, it feels so fitting when applied to VR in eXistenZ. After eXistenZ's remarkably effective opening, which succinctly establishes the pod VR technology, the protagonists, and the realist terror group hunting them, the film lost me a little. The acting is somewhat stilted, and the first glimpse we get of eXistenZ looks really mundane and cheap. But I gradually warmed to Law and Leigh's acting, as it's realistically restrained, and so highlights the character's disconnectedness from reality, and Leigh's husky voice is pretty sexy, and the lame hub world is a jumping-off point for several surreal set pieces. Much of the film consists of incredibly compelling world-building, which compensates for the plot's lack of a consistent driving direction. I really appreciated the use of NPC characters and Pikel's craftiness in figuring out their limited range of dialogue options to progress the game. At times, the players, Allegra and Pikel themselves, are hijacked to say certain lines or perform certain actions. This enhances the tension, as you are often unsure whether they are acting by their own agency or if the game's programming is taking them over. As Allegra and Pikel shift through levels of reality, they meet enjoyably stylized characters and enter macabre, intriguing scenarios that are puzzles in themselves. eXistenZ also has a multi-layered, genius ending. The reality of the setting is still eerily ambiguous, and there are 3, or 4, depending on how you count, shocking twists in the final 20 minutes. These twists all make sense, even as they dramatically dismantle our perceptions of the characters, and never feel strained or overdone. I say eXistenZ lacks direction because for all its fantastic world-building, the driving conflict and game itself are poorly defined. The assassination attempt feels like a thin, framing excuse to explore eXistenZ. eXistenZ appears to be more of a server system for games than a game itself, but still, where does this game come from? How is Allegra, a lead designer, so unfamiliar with her own game? It's implied that eXistenZ is procedurally generated, in that it derives part of its content from its players' minds, but again, where does the design come from if Allegra doesn't know what's happening? The rival Cortisol company and the realist terror group have really indistinct roles beyond the intentionally mysterious tone of the narrative. Even if everyone but Allegra and Pikel are NPCs, designing a game like this, with a rather scattershot structure I might add, feels like an artificial method of generating tension and conspiracy. eXistenZ is a morbid and wonderfully inventive film let down by slapdash structure, and demonstrates that engrossing, which it certainly is, does not always equate with suspenseful. eXistenZ earns 3.5 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching. Cheers.